stars are mine to shine. But when I look at the stars, when I look at the stars, when I look at the stars, I see someone else. Waiting for the stars to fall, to carry your burden to my arms. That's where you belong, in my arms, baby, yeah. I'm the stars look down. Was it something I said? I'm the stars look down. Searching for meaning, but are we all lost stars? Trying to light up the dark.
You must be my lucky star, 'cause you shine on me wherever you are.
Don't you know that you are a shooting star? Don't you know? Don't you know? Don't you know that you are a shooting star?
Maybe the night the emojis might let me know all the stars are closer, all the stars are closer. But baby, I've been playing hard.
Said no more counting dollars, we'll be counting stars. 'Cause you're a sky full of stars. 'Cause you're a sky full of stars.
Look what you done. I'm a motherfucking star boy. Look what you done. I'm a motherfucking star boy.
Before the night through, you will see my point of view. Even if I have to scream and shout, baby, I'm a might not know it now, baby, I'm tired, I'm a star.
Welcome, everyone, to the official debate section.
This debate is being conducted under health and safety protocols designed by the Cleveland Clinic.
Let's get it started in here.
Hey,
Hey, what's up? Welcome to this episode of Incendiary. A little bit of a longer intro because it's a lot easier to find songs that have to do with star than some of the recent titles we've had on lately.
no doubt.
You picked up on that. Yeah. So today we have a returning guest who's been on the show a few times, a great friend of the channel, and always fun to talk to. So Peter and Jake, please welcome good Joe Catapano. How you doing, Joe?
Yeah. Joe.
Hey, welcome.
Welcome back, buddy.
Yeah, welcoming myself. What's up?
I saw you recognizing and acknowledging some of those songs there. Probably one or two you were like, what the hell is that?
Well, look, no, I have resting. What do they call it? Can I curse on here in this show?
Yeah.
Resting bitch face. Sometimes I have resting bitch face, and it doesn't mean I didn't like the songs. Just was. It's mostly I'm tired. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been the campaign trail has been draining, but
Yeah, chapter 2, man. I can't wait.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
it looks pretty good, man. I can't wait to talk about the comic.
We are definitely going to take a look at that. So let's talk about your previous appearances. So on February 13th of 2023, you were here on Incendiary, and we talked about superhero movie directors and if people like James Gunn and Snyder and all that deserved their chance. I don't know if you remember that discussion, but it was kind of fun. We got to pick on those guys quite a bit.
Yeah, vaguely. Yeah, that was a good one. It's very pop culture-y. I like it.
Yeah. That was quite a while ago. And then 2 years ago, while this was still the Dojo Cone Shill Shack, you were my co-host, and we had the creator of Bric-a-Brac and the creator of Spells and Superheroes. Now, sadly, I don't think either of those two campaigns did very well in their funding. Bric-a-Brac, I think, maybe got funded. I'm not sure, but Spells and Superheroes sadly did not.
Yeah, I think later on it did.
Did it?
The
Oh,
second.
okay.
Yeah, because that's Mark Mulgrave, right? It's Spells and Superheroes.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, because I have his book, so it got funded at some point. I don't know when.
Okay.
So
all right. Well, excellent. Talk about, and you were worried about me picking your brain for your memory. That was awesome that you even remembered who the creator was.
drinking from the vineyard, it helps.
Right. So let's say hi to our chat before we get into our debate. So we had over 5 hours ago, Dave Brink from Genuine Comics stepped in and said, "Have a great stream." He'll catch the replay because right now it's like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning for him. So we appreciate you, Dave. Thank you for saying hi and watching. Now, Stanley said first, and I said, "Well, not exactly, but we're glad you're here." And he said,
I don't like it when people show up like a day early and then claim to be first. They weren't here when the launched.
I mean, honestly, when Dave was here, he didn't say he was first. So maybe some kudos should go to Stanley for saying that. He stands by it anyway. He said he's going to throw in the "I don't believe you" meme. Speaking of memes, Pete says, "Wouldn't it be awesome if we could throw gifts in the chat?" And then, what's this? Switchfoot would actually die with a night ride scene.
I meant to say
I don't
fit.
understand.
Yeah, that was an autocorrect of some sort. That was totally wrong. I should have been fit.
Okay. All right.
I hate autocorrect, man.
Dude,
you know what?
All the time.
Stanley was saying that if we could throw gifts in the chat, he would abuse it, especially with the boy meets girl memes. I can imagine, because did you catch that the look of that guy? I mean, he has a forehead like Bancroft, for crying out loud. It was huge.
I liked a lot of the album art.
Stanley recognized another one that I missed. You're going to have to tell me what song was it I missed from. Is that Maisie Star? I think I've heard of that artist, but I'm not sure.
I might be misremembering, but I thought that was kind of like depressing.
Oh, the song by Maisie Star?
I might be thinking of a different band. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not that
familiar. You'll have to fill us
in the sky. What?
All right. Oh, perfect segue. Speaking of skies, what we're here to talk about is the name on the banner was "Our Heads in the Clouds." So what we're going to debate is, I don't want to call it a trope because I really don't think it is. I don't have a lot of examples of it, but I do have some good examples where the scenario was used very, very well. And of course, one of them is the comic book we'll be looking at in a little while here, Star Circuit 2: Synchronicity. So, we're gonna ask you, Joe, as our guest, to tell us which side of the debate you're on. Do you think in the future that we are, as a society, going to build so far up in our cities as to create skyscrapers and actual landscape up there in the clouds?
It's a tough call. I can see certain futures where we go the opposite direction.
Oh, I can see why you're saying that too. That might be a good sort of spin-off or tangent a little bit later.
Yeah. Sure, I'll take it because I'm good, Joe. It seems optimistic or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Something
So
like
Jake,
Altered Carbon, where the what are they called? The elites. They're all living up in the sky, throwing hookers off the roof.
Yeah, in Altered Carbon, I don't remember. I'm meaning to reread the books, but I didn't watch the show, so I don't know.
Oh, I love that show
Carbon.
so much.
So there's an example I didn't know about.
It's one of my favorite shows.
We'll ask you to talk about that in a little bit more detail, Pete, in just a little bit.
Convince me to watch it.
Right. So, Jake, now that he's picked a side, and his side is, yes, he thinks we are going to move up into the clouds, what does he have to do now?
He has to choose a partner to debate his side for him. And then whoever remains standing is going to go against them and tell them, fuck that. We ain't going into the stars. We're staying here on the fucking rock, and we are going to like it.
So what he meant by all that, Joe, is you get to pick who's on your side, Pete or Jake.
I was like, is this Cowboy Bebop? What was that? Okay. I choose. What month were you born, Peter?
October.
I'll take it. You're in the clouds with me.
Awesome.
Right?
Okay, so
right.
we're 4 clouds.
Yes.
Yes,
Four
you're,
clouds.
All right.
you're for the idea that the
Cloud City.
future civilizations will be up in the clouds. Like I said, I do have a couple of examples, but I'm not starting because I'm not the guest. Joe is. Joe, tell us why you think that's where we'll be in the future.
Mostly as we get more affluent as a culture. Or do I have a timer? Is there like a time frame for this?
No, there's no
Okay,
timer.
just want to make sure I don't like ramble into like no point. Okay.
When we hit the 35-minute mark, Peter will say something to me, and we'll go in and start looking at your book if we get that far.
Okay, cool. All right. So real quickly, my basic thesis would be that as cultures get more affluent and as resources get cheaper, you can do more, if you want to call it ridiculous, but feats of structural glory, like building skyscrapers or some sort of orbital type of scenario where it's like half on, half off, like the ground, and maybe just in the atmosphere, as you say, in the clouds. So anything like that's going to be very resource like heavy, and no pun intended. But the resources don't cost a lot, so it just makes sense that we're going to use that a little bit higher of a margin to like go to the clouds. A little less danger up there, unless we have like storms. If we can't figure that out, then we may never go there. But I think we'll figure that out. I think the clouds we're going to be. I think we usually end up, we're egotistical apes in the end, and we like to make big things with our names on them. And that's probably a better reason why we'll end up there. But
Oh, you're talking like Stark Tower is what you're talking about right now.
pretty much, yeah. Stark Tower or anything. In my book, it's Metric Tower. But yeah, any we'll say human that's actually is more human than machine will probably have the ego thing going on and want to leave their legacy, and making a giant city that's in the clouds. It's probably something leaders like to do, especially ones that are not in wartime. So they tend to build instead of defend or repair. So once you're in a prosperous time, I think in the future, hopefully, I mean, again, I'm like a maybe a naive, positive outlook type of guy when it comes to AI, and so potentially the AI is going to just make everything better, and we're just going to be able to do everything we normally do better if AI doesn't destroy us. So if we're alive at all, I think we'll be in the clouds.
So you think maybe some of our building materials will be much lighter but stronger at that time, huh?
Much more than that, maybe things that we're not even thinking of. That's usually, it's like the Henry Ford quote, like where if you asked, people back in the day what we would build after horses, they would say just, what are they, like some more horses or something, like dual horse carts, or, what I mean? Like he just would think to add more horses instead of like thinking up the invention of a car. It's something like that where
they were trying to like figure out how to deal with all the horse shit. And then they were like, we got a real problem here. And if by these calculations, the next century, there's going to be too many horses shitting all over everything. And then we came up with the car. Humans are, they can be pretty smart.
In the same way, we're gonna end up with, I mean, building into the cause just makes sense. I feel like as far as just if we plan on being in a rich world, you know what I mean, and going to better things. So there's only a few things. I think we go into the ground if other scenarios happen, but yeah.
You know, Stanley over here made an interesting point that might lead into Jake's with his comment over here. If we unless we cities will burn before we ever reach that height. We got like overcoming humanity's.
I got you, brother. Don't you worry.
So, Jake, yeah, you seem pretty sure in our intro here at the beginning that we're going to be stuck on this rock. What do you think?
Man, it's always been human intuition to go beyond the stars, right? I mean, it's in every tale known to man. It's in the Bible. When we die, we're going to go up. When it's dealing with the Greeks, it's always going up. Of course, there's Hades also, but, we're not going to get into all that. But from Total Recall going to Mars, from One Piece and Skypiea to Alita Battle Angel, we've always been fascinated with going to a city in the sky. It doesn't matter what location it is, as long as it's not down here on Earth. So as much as we want to, and it seems to be our intuition to try and make that happen, Elon Musk, I don't see it being financially stable to do it. I don't think there's going to ever be enough people to actually be into it. I think too many people pretend that it's just sci-fi still. I think that you have to be a billionaire just to be able to put it together. And I don't think you're going to be seeing any more space exploration until there's another war. Because that's the only reason we went up there in the first place, was to solve a Cold War.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Well, it just so happens we might be getting that. Which means we're going to the sky. We're going to build cities up there so that we can have space docks and transportation across the planet. Will be more convenient because you have less gravity up there. It makes way more sense to build straight up. Just go straight up.
When we recently saw the news about flying cars, not only are they becoming a thing, but they're becoming like approved. The problem, of course, I don't know if you guys all know, but I work for an insurance company, and the idea of flying cars is like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. I mean, as if it's not dangerous enough on two dimensions, height and width, you're going to add, width and depth, you're going to add height. I mean, imagine you've got to worry about cars coming at you from 360 degrees instead of just, on the same plane as you. And now if you watch the Jetsons, which was supposedly up in the clouds, all of the cars drove or flew in the same plane. Like they were all at the same level. Nobody ventured up or down from that one. It's like that was kind of short-sighted, in my opinion. So let's talk about now a whole flying city. If it becomes possible to create the anti-gravity that we would need, or the light enough materials, the danger I think that would pose would be incredibly high. Like you were talking about, Peter, when you talked about, altered carbon, they would toss people off the roof, which I'm assuming you meant that they would go past the level that the city was at and end up falling all the way down to the earth. Is that what happened?
Yeah, pretty much. Just you got to hide the evidence. So you throw hookers off the ledge.
I see. All right.
And that way nobody knows.
Okay. Well, there have been some other examples, like the Cloud City in Star Wars, the Bespin Cloud City.
And also with the cars, with the AI and the computer technology, you also have another 2 dimensions to swerve from an accident, and you have all the technology to help you. So there might be less accidents.
How many accidents did Tesla have in 2013 again? How many times did that autopilot suddenly fuck people up and kill them?
That was on the ground. And that's
exactly. It's going to be worth
go up or down.
You're going to still crash into the ground. Gravity still exists when that shit goes.
Yeah, I'll actually give you that on the. I want my hoverboard before the hover car.
Yeah, there you go. Hoverboard. Test that shit out 2 inches from the ground.
Yeah, I thought the problem with hover cars was sound. I always heard that, or no pun again. I heard that like the sound of like the volume that it would pollute all the residential areas. Just cities would be nonstop like noise if we had like the stereotypical type of hover car, because there's just so much air and wind is really loud. But I do disagree. I'll take Peter's same line. I think it would reduce accidents by a ton. Almost no accidents would ever happen. That is if you figure out the technology. But I think it's the same thing as like space travel. It's like now you deal with 360 degrees of vectors, and essentially you kind of have that in the air. You'd have to like divvy up lanes and whatnot of elevation for different types of vehicles, different classes of vehicles, and there'd be a whole lot of police probably monitoring like the the daily comings and goings. But
imagine what kind of swerve you would have if you were intoxicated. Not just back and forth, but up and down and upside down. And
yeah.
Stanley's saying they trained that driving AI using Grand Theft Auto 5. Got to feel sorry for the skyhookers in the future. Totally agree with that. Y'all better watch out.
So imagine though, we're talking about electric vehicles now, and people are having, like range anxiety. Imagine if you run out of charge or gas and you're, in a flying car. We've sort of switched from flying city to flying cars, but I think they would have to be hand in hand, because to get from the ground
I have a
to the
drone
city,
that automatically comes back home, like to its launching point when the battery gets to that point.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
So I
so
guess
DJI.
some programming could be done. But imagine you're halfway to work and your car says, nope, we're going back.
The way I see like a lot of these Cloud City thing happening though is like it's not a whole bunch of islands that are scattered everywhere. It's more one big city, and then there's a ground level for that city in the clouds or whatever where we're talking about. Outside of that bounds is restricted. Like just like we have like restricted zones for like airports, it'd be the same thing. Like, you don't just like walk on an airport field. No one does that. It'd be just as dumb as doing that as like getting close to the border of the Sky Island or Sky City.
Or like Elysium out in space. It's like, I guess, atmosphere. I don't know. I don't remember how Elysium worked. Was it in space? I feel like it had like a sky.
Yeah, I feel like it was just really high.
Yeah, if we ever actually did get up into the sky, which I'm not saying we will, still on the side that says we won't, it would definitely be more in unison with the idea of the movie WALL-E. We would have fucked up all of our resources here on Earth, and we would have to force ourselves to go into space. We would have to have some efficient, re-energizing, refueling kind of system in place. It couldn't be combustion. It'd have to be on some kind of magnetism. It would have to be renewable and self-sufficient. There's no way to do it any other way, because we would fuck up with all of our lithium and cobalt and fossil fuels. All that shit would be gone. We'd use that up in an instant, just trying to get the rockets up there.
Yeah.
Playing on the other side of this, maybe going into the ground instead of on the ground might be even smarter than trying to go up, because then you're like in the ground, and that's safer.
I was gonna think like, are you talking about like miniature kind of cities under the ground where like it's like a cavern style where there's like.
Well, there's like those ancient cultures that used to have those cities underground, so that if they would ever get invaded, they could actually cut off the water supply to the invading forces by going into the ground cities, and then just waiting them out.
Right.
Something along, or the reptilians.
Didn't Korea do that shit?
Yeah, I think.
Those are
I think I know what you're talking
right?
about.
Yeah.
So what do we got? Stanley says, none of that scares me. It'll all be self-driven with thousands of safety measures. I don't feel that's the issue. I just don't see us going that high. We need to become agrarian again.
Let's build fucking Atlantis. Let's do that.
Yeah. Like, have y'all seen the Desert Eye or Eye of the Desert or whatever? There's a spot in the Sahara Desert. It suspiciously looks like a circular city.
Huh.
I
Really?
think it's Atlantis, and I have scientists, pseudoscientists, to back me up on that.
All right.
It was their
Well, you
idea.
know what? They did discover several Viking ships way in the middle of the desert. So there is some credence to the fact that that used to be covered with water.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't doubt. Yeah, yeah. The whole, what do they call where the continents moved around? Pangaea or not something like that.
Pangea.
Pangea.
Pangea. There we go. What's Pangaea? Pangaea is like a disease, right?
Panacea, no, Panacea is paradise.
Oh, okay. Totally off base. All right. Cool. Yeah, I totally can see that where, we find fossils in weird places and fossilized ships and shit. Yeah.
Right, right.
Also found waterbeds. You know what? The desert itself looks like the seabed, like a sandy
does.
seabed.
And it's interesting, the definition of desert. The world's largest desert is actually the Antarctica, because all it has to be is dry and arid and without vegetation. So that is Antarctica. I read an article about that. I almost did a 60-second subject on it, but yeah,
Really?
I don't know, got distracted, I guess.
So they don't count all the moisture, or is there technically no moisture when it's that cold or something?
Well, the moisture that we're talking about as far as being dry and arid would have to be in the air. And the moisture does not stay in the air. It freezes and becomes part of the ice on the ground.
Right. Well,
But
then
if we
you're
were in the
right,
ground,
Jojo.
we wouldn't have those cool cities like in Altered Carbon or in is it the Incal, the Inkle? I don't know how to pronounce that title, but where the guy jumps off the suicide bridge and just falls down the city to the acid lake or whatever at the bottom.
I think that's
Has
the
anyone read
Inkle.
that? The Inkle?
Yeah. Yep. Inkle.
I haven't seen it, but yeah, that sounds cool.
Sky cities make for the imagination, right? Like I love the concepts because just the idea of like Cloud City in Star Wars, man. That the whole idea of that was just really cool growing up and looking at that city.
Yeah.
I was a role-playing gamer for many years, for about 20 years. It's been a long time since I did, but the game I liked the most was called Tolis, the City by the Spire. And this was another one of those where they had all built upward next to this unexplainable, like, spire of rock. Just this huge, like, spike of rock went way up into the clouds, and they built all around it. And there were different levels of people. The elites lived the highest up in the city, and those that were like the dregs of society lived down in the like the tunnels and the I guess in the dungeons. But that world that was built by the writer, his name was Monty Cook. It was fascinating. I swear I'm going to get that book again. I had only borrowed it. I didn't own it. It's pretty thick. It's like $100. It's a really big, huge book, but it was fascinating to read. It was very entertaining. That was probably the best RPG I played, was Tolis. So it's another one with that kind of a setting. So I definitely appreciate the setting. I think it's super interesting. And it, like you said, Peter, it leads to a lot of imagination. Like, how did we get there? And if we don't even talk about how, who gets to be up there in the echelon, upper echelons? Why are some people still down in the dregs, where the buildings are falling apart and they're in disrepair? And, how do they support the people above?
If they were, go ahead, finish up.
No, I was just going to say, it reminds me too of Hunger Games, where all of the outside districts, although it wasn't a city above them, it was, as far as being elite, where all of the other districts fed all of their resources to the one district that was over and above everyone else.
I was gonna say, if they, assuming we don't like destroy ourselves and we are capable, or maybe we need a war, like to build to get the economy going or something, whatever. Assuming we don't kill ourselves, would they build pyramid cities? I think that'd be pretty smart. Or over here, like this would go Stanley, underwater cities would be awesome.
Yeah, was somebody talked about Atlantis already? I don't know. And maybe Stanley's only partially listening. I don't know.
Well, that's on the water. In the water.
Atlantis is supposed to be submerged.
Was it? I thought it was just a ringed city on the surface.
I thought it was
Unless
underwater. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this underwater stuff, guys. Seems a little too. I don't know. To me, I'll take
Sounds fishy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, would you rather depressurize under the ocean, or would you rather
fall to my death?
Like, yeah, assuming that, like, you know, fail safes go and you're in space or underwater. I think underwater I'd rather be underwater. Instead of like inflating like a balloon, I think I'd rather be instantly pulverized.
Well,
rapid decompression.
I never considered we'd be so high up. I never considered we'd be so high up in the stratosphere where we'd float away instead of falling back down.
You'd have to have oxygen tanks up in like real high up in the air.
Yeah, you really would.
Well, we'd probably have biospheres where, as long as you're inside of it, same thing Atlantis style, just you're in the air.
Or adapt like in Expanse. In the Expanse, didn't they like adapt and their bodies got lanky, and I assume they don't have as much oxygen requirements.
Yeah, that's interesting. When I think about cities that are high up in the sky, I don't think like floating. I think they're like in Star Circuit. I don't want to bridge that way yet, but in my book, it's structurally built up. It looks like it could be floating, but it's not. It's a very structured kind of city. It's actually a colony. I don't even want to bring up where it really is in space, but this city is kind of built up from struts, so like ginormous, mile wide,
like pillars.
Pillars, like mile wide pillars that like hold up.
Okay.
Yeah, and so
is it like in Arthur C. Clarke's 2000, where it has like the belt that goes around Earth and the massive towers that go up to the belt?
It's something like that. Yeah, it's like a mix between that and
Halo.
There's also other type of technology. In my book, we've figured out what tail end with what Jake mentioned about like us making sure we get enough. We'd have to figure out the energy issue, and in my book, they've also figured that out. That's how they have all this energy for racing and all this free. Pretty much everything in this feature in my book is free, and that's because they figured out perpetual energy. And this in my book, perpetual energy is built up from pretty much friction from data. So like just imagine all the data being sent wirelessly between devices actually generates energy instead of doing nothing. But like every time it enters, every input output is a minor tiny decibel like of energy storage and is sent back to the battery. And so over time and over like millions of people using millions and billions of people using the network, it charges itself. So that's how it works in my book. But so maybe that's how like you would build like you said, Jake, you need perpetual energy. But that's one of my ideas that seems pretty cool and is in Star Circuit. And
space racing, that sounds awesome.
We are in fact going to take this opportunity to use that as a segue. Let's go ahead and start looking at the book.
This thing, man.
Yeah,
cover looks awesome, by the way.
I want that bike. Both covers do. Yeah. When I backed it, this is the cover I got though. So let's take a look at the trailer, if that's okay with you, Joe.
Sure, let's do it. It's a good one.
Okay, let's start with that. Let me know if you guys if I've got audio.
Welcome to Colony A.2.1. Here, a vast network connects the minds of each member of the populace, delivering endless entertainment. Augmentally custom made for each individual member, free of charge. It's the cornerstone of modern life, a perfect system. That was until a street racer named Atlas Metric caused a glitch in this flawless system. It went undetected by the system admins, but now has the attention of a nefarious power who will do whatever it takes to retrieve the cause of the glitch. Atlas. Now relentless android assassins have been dispatched to capture him. In order to escape this threat, he will need to overcome the impossible, with the glitch in tow. But hey, impossible is just something losers say when they've given up, right?
Yeah, that looks awesome, man.
Thank you, dude.
I love the sound effects of the bikes being more like a whistle or hum rather than a combustion engine.
Yeah.
That was spot on.
Yeah, we've been pushing those. This is another Ted Zagaro trailer, and ever since I was one of the first things I did when I first came up with this idea around 2016 was like figure out like these cool ideas, and at the same time like I looked up e-bikes because they were kind of newish by then, and I was like manipulating their sound and trying to do like something cool to make them sound good. Never could get it to sound right, but yeah, you're right. It's not combustion, so it's a mix of like energy, hum and like a air sound.
Yeah.
Who's the artist for the interiors?
That's me.
Man, that's good, dude. That looks really awesome.
Thanks. So I also did the cover, but the variant obviously I didn't do. But I'm the artist. I have a colorist this time with Marcos Martins, and he's an awesome dude. I think we collaborate pretty well. There's a ramp up just like anything else to get things moving. Like, I think he wants to render things more than I want him to render. And so I have to like keep pulling him back a little bit. But yeah, it's how it goes. There's always something like that. But with a few revisions and us going back and forth, we usually get something looking great.
Who needs a variant when you have that cover right there?
Yeah, that's
well, is this like a heroes villains thing going? This guy down underneath that looks kind of sinister.
Yeah, absolutely. How'd you get that, Peter? No, that was the whole goal. When I was looking, I tried to get the variant cover drawn by like 5 different people. In fact, I'm infamously owed a cover by the Thomas Moyer guy, who I think he sadly like came down with cancer or something. But
he did, yes.
Yeah. I don't know any updates, but
he's still trying to work on his book. I got a cover from him for my upcoming campaign, but it was difficult. It was I kind of had to hound him a little bit, but I tried to do it gently because I know he's really in a health crisis.
His
name is Stefani Renee.
Yeah, Stefani Renee. I just let it go. I was like, just keep the money. Hopefully it helps. I don't need your cover because I don't want you to like. I don't know. To me, like if you're not going to get me the work that you subscribe to without me hounding, I'm not going to bother you. But I just count it as a loss and move on. But anyway, I also tried like 3 other artists, and it also didn't work out. I thought I was never going to get a variant cover done, and finally got Rob Willis. And
you did get a good get here with Rob Willis.
Yeah, I was very inspired by his like Shinobi Sasquatch, and since this character villain, this is like it's like the lieutenant villain of the second book, and it's a cyber ninja essentially. So I thought it was perfect for Rob's, dark and gritty mixed with like he already knows how to draw a giant shinobi. So I figured it would be perfect, and you're right, Peter. It's the villain. So like
is this
I had
the
like
same guy in 3 different poses, like he's moving real fast?
No, this is he's like a commander. He's a lieutenant of a ninja squad. So these are like his grunts following. So he's like a little bigger. He's got a little different of a head shape, and he's like much more strategic, and the others are more of like a straight kind of AI, just do what you're told type of thing, where he's kind of managing.
Leader.
Yeah, he's like squad leader essentially. But yeah, he's dangerous for that reason. Like he doesn't do. You'll see in the book he doesn't do what he doesn't have to. Yeah.
I like it. Sci-fi is my thing. I love sci-fi.
Hell yeah, this is right, dude. I wouldn't even like it's cyberpunk, but it's I call it it's like a sci-fi world with like cyberpunk flair. So a lot of it is flavored a lot by as much flavored by Neuromancer and cyberpunk type of stuff, as well as like a sci-fi fantasy thing like Star Wars is. So
your colors is doing a really good job keeping it in that genre. I'm looking. We'll get to it here, I'm sure, in a minute. But there's like this party scene I'm looking at. The colors just pop so bright.
Yeah, these are Marcos Martin's colors, but I have like a vision for it, so like I have to like I was with that one in particular. Whenever you get down to it, with that one in particular, I was very inspired by Batman Beyond's dance club. I don't know if you remember Bruce Timm's Batman Beyond,
there we go.
and there was that club scene. You guys remember that?
Oh yeah, I love that
So
show.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
one of my favorites.
I drew this and I sent Marco. So I was like, dude, just send him a screenshot or a GIF image of like the girls dancing and him just like doing his like 2-step, and it was funny. And I was like, dude, this is what I want. Just make it Star Circuity, and that's what we got. So
Funny that an artist or an animator did the same thing when it came to the X-Men Evolution dance scene with Rogue, and pulled it from one of the Sarah Michelle Gellar films of her youth.
really,
Yeah,
that's interesting, man.
When you play them back to back right next to each other, it's spot on, exact image.
Yeah, I love that stuff, man. Because like, you don't have to always know the inspiration, but once you know it, you know, and you can't see past it.
Right.
Yeah, I think we nailed the inspiration from Batman Beyond because I think 1 in 10 people say that's Batman Beyond, and that's awesome. I love seeing that.
So I went all the way down here on purpose.
Yeah,
This here is Star Circuit Chapter 1. It looks to me like this is maybe like a second printing cover. This is not the cover I got
yeah.
from Star Circuit Chapter 1.
So Star Circuit Chapter 1 sold out. I have the behind me this way is the last it's in the bright light there, but like the last copy of Star Circuit, that cover is there. And there's like 5 more remaining of the variant from the first campaign, but I'm not selling those because no one picked it up. I wanted to make sure that everyone got a chance before this campaign. However, maybe years down the road, I'll sell them on eBay for like way more than they're worth now, and because Star Circuit will become something a little bit bigger, and maybe it'll help fund future art.
When they get you licensed and do the live action movie of your IP, then the book will go up in value.
Yeah, that and just it straight up is limited. There's only 5 left, period. So it's just great to see how that works. Speculative markets and
we are at 113 backers. There are just slightly over 3 weeks left. I think we can get there. You're at 71%. I don't think it'll be a problem. But let's take a look at the tiers that people can choose from that'll help get you there. Now, the reason I went all the way down there to look at the catch-up, the second printing of Chapter 1 is because your featured tier has the that second printing with that awesome cover with the bike just sort of focused in that black background, which I think is really sharp. It's got your cover here on Star Circuit 2 Synchronicity. So that's just $40 for the backup tier, which $20 each is a price break, folks. I think you know that, but for those of you who don't want to do math on stream, that's a great selection right there. So you've got a digital. So PDF is important. Oh, and you get both 1 and 2 in this.
Yeah. I wanted to. It would just get me complicated because I was like, all right, now you have to somehow get the other Chapter 1 digital at some point. Just make it simple. Yeah. So.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it's essentially the digital catch-up tier. Yeah.
And I think it's important too to offer digital. I'm not really a fan of buying digital myself, but I definitely include it in all of my campaigns because I know sometimes shipping is a deal breaker for some folks. I know that when I shipped to Australia, it was super expensive. So this is one way for people to enjoy the book with maybe not having to pay for shipping.
Yeah, I think, and eventually it's going to be fun because like the more pages you put out, eventually I think Chapter 1 I'm just going to give out for free on my website, just because once you have like 100, 200 pages of the story out there, what's 30? 30 pages is nothing, and so it's worth it to get people kind of hooked. That's the plan. Once I'd say when I'm funding Chapter 4, Chapter 1 will be just free, and for like just a preview on my website. But
gotcha.
Obviously you'd be
I
able
like
to
digital tiers just to have my phone because I can't carry comics. I mean I can put them in my pocket, but my back pocket, roll them up. But some of these I don't want to roll up.
Yeah,
especially the trades are tough. Yeah.
But I like that you got the digital on there because I like being able to just pull my phone out. I've got a huge collection of comics on my Google.
Yes,
that
you
I can
do.
just pull up. Yeah. And I
So
love having
this
it.
one here is 72 pages for the second volume of Star Circuit. Did it sort of like take a life of its own, Joe?
It's kind of. I just realized the biggest issues I had with chapter one, just learning from doing the first book, was pacing. I looked at other people's books. I saw like, oh, this is how you and I learned this a little bit. Mike Barron says this really well, but yeah, the number of panels on the page directly relates to how the vibe and the pacing of each page. So I didn't realize it was just that simple. And so usually if you kind of spread out the panels across more pages, it just ends up being more pages. And so the climax and the lead up to the climax in this book is really spread out enough where you know, that feeling of like you really enjoying every moment. That's what you get out of this book. And I made sure that like it's not just like you read it and it wasn't really that satisfying. I wanted to make sure the climax like really lands, like something really was done here, and you're satisfied by the end of it.
All right, you heard it here, folks. Joe likes to satisfy people. All right,
That's
so
right.
I'm looking at this first cover. I'm sorry. I'm looking at this and I'm like noticing things every time I look at all this. That one right there. Is that guy's legs disintegrating in the background there with the yellow goggles? Or are they like
have,
laser legs?
They look very bony and holographic. Yeah, something like that.
You stole this shot from Harry Potter and the what do you call it, Death Eaters, didn't you? That's supposed to be Harry Potter escaping the Death Eaters.
Yeah, that's his broom. Is he on the broom?
I like that. I like that he's like laser.
So the cover that we're talking about here is one of the tiers, and that's if you just want the book straight up, it's $28 for Joe's cover, and it's also $28 for Rob Willis's cover, the villain variant. So that's cool. 17 people have made that available to themselves. Tell us about the synced tier, Joe.
Yeah, so fully synced is the whole theme of chapter 2 is synchronicity. It means two different things actually. Syncing, well, a lot of people know the first meaning, which is like two things joining up. But another really scientific meaning is like you matching the same speed or velocity as something else. And so synchronicity is just a pun here for fully synced. You can fully sync up with the campaign by getting everything on the campaign. It's just another way for saying that, which you get all three books. So chapter 1, both covers of chapter 2. You get a patch, the kanji patch. It's not on there, but there's a sticker that you'll see on like the perk section, and that's like it's a meme that me and my buddy Jeremy Zaid Studios made. It says "glitch, please," and then also you get the sketch cover.
Glitch, please.
Yes. So the sticker is great, but it's the best way to get everything in the original art because you get a sketch card in there.
Oh, okay. And then chapter 1 original. So this is a page from chapter 1, right? Is that what you're? No, wait.
Yeah, it's a page from chapter 1. Yeah, you got chapter 2 plus a page from chapter 1.
All right. So wow, original pages, and you made 15 of those available.
Yeah, I had all of them for sale the first campaign, and out of the 30, there's like 15 left. So,
okay.
So these are pages from the first book, not the one I just made, because the new one is digital. So I had to move to digital to make things quicker. It's all an effort to get the book out quicker. So went to digital, hired a colorist. Try to give the jobs out. That way it can get funded. Otherwise, this campaign would be next year sometime. So.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
That's how it goes.
So the Willis original cover, $1,800. I mean, with Willis, like I said, that's a great get. It's an amazing picture. Let me scroll this part down so we can look at this. Now,
That's
obviously,
totally
it would be black and
That's
white.
an amazing cover right there.
Yeah. Dude, I have it
it
in my drawer over there. I look at it in wonder many days. Like I don't ink, but I look at it, I'm like, man, maybe I should become an inker. This is pretty crazy.
And I see that your cover sold. That's awesome.
Yep. So I do pencil work, and this is one of the only things I did do traditional, and so yeah, got picked up.
Excellent. Good to see. Good to see. So another thing I wanted to point out, which I noticed, oh, it's right here. The production status. So the script, 100%. Layouts, 100%. Pencils, you're about 3/4 of the way through. Has it improved, or has the number gotten higher since you put this up?
Sadly, not much. Not, like maybe 1%, maybe. The campaign trail is rough, and I'm getting jobs in between. So yeah, it's about that. We'll say.
I do like it when people put that on there on the campaign to kind of see the progress, and then keep it updated.
Yeah, I tried. The first one I put out was pretty much done. I put it out almost ready to go to print, and so this is the first campaign I'm doing where it's kind of like it feels good because you guys are like funding it, the making of. So I feel like it's appropriate to have this cool little chart that you guys get to get some dopamine from every time you see.
Right.
Yeah. And you got 23 days left. Are you going to go for another 30 after that?
Potentially. Here's the deal, guys. Now, this is kind of real because I may shift over to Fund My Comic because those guys over there are great. I like what they're doing. I just didn't do it to start because I just knew Indiegogo a little bit better from the first campaign. The plan is to maybe switch over at 30 days, go to Fund My Comic, or stick around for the full 60. I haven't decided yet, but we can say it's a possibility that this thing actually closes. So we have to hit the 9K.
And
so
I'd
here's
do
the
both,
thing.
and then throw like a Fund My Comic perk in there, like a bookmark or something that's unique to Fund My Comic.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll probably commission some cool cat that I haven't gotten a commission from yet.
So did you know that Peter Orchard is an artist?
Oh, I feel like your avatar is memorable, but I'm not sure if I've seen some of your work before.
I only have like 80 followers on Twitter.
But he did the amazing cover D to Projectile Reptile. So I mean,
I'll have
the cover. He won the art contest, and it became the cover on my second chance campaign. So yeah.
Well, I wrote it down.
It's in Mandy's campaign on the Gem Shock.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing fancy. It's just in the collector's box. There's like a print of Gem Shock in there.
Cool.
Hey, I've been neglecting the chat, guys. Hold on a second.
Oh no, you're not missing anything. We have a friend pop in there. And I told him get out of here.
What is Igong? Anyway, followers is not the measure of great artwork. Look, it's
I'm not saying I don't have great artwork. I'm just saying that's why you probably didn't see it. I don't get noticed.
Yeah, that's the trouble with art. It's like it's a mix between you have to like be alone while you're making it, and then somehow be surrounded by people when you show it off. So
yeah,
right.
That's funny. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. It's weird. It's why it's hard. It's like it's weird how that's why getting to that level of like just being so unreal about being so good at like what you do, it's tough to get to that level because like there's so many more artists these days, and you can easily get out swamped by all the other images. It's crazy.
Oh man, that's one thing I liked about coming into Comicsgate. I never had very much competition in certain areas that I've been in, and so I just kind of got lazy. And then I come over here, and I'm like, holy crap! There are people that are way better than me, so I'm always learning, and I just love it. It's amazing. Every time I lose an art competition, it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm probably the only person to say that.
I love it, man, because I'm like, wow, that artwork is totally like badass. They deserve it.
It is cool to see, like, our contests for that reason are, like, I guess if you put all your marbles in believing it's going to work out, but it can be demoralizing sometimes. But, yeah, I love seeing everybody's great stuff.
So it took me a minute to find it, but this is the cover that Peter did for Projectile Reptile. This became cover D.
Yeah, that looks awesome, dude. That's a great cover. I would say no problems with that. Like, that's something I like. Yeah, for sure. He's got like everything going on, like a nice perspective on the ships, good force perspective from the guy on the ground. It's great.
Yeah, the guy pleading
thank
for
you.
his life on the ground in front of him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, great job on that, Pete.
Yeah, thank
Who
you.
did you color or some who colored?
I didn't color that. I think I am gonna do a lot more. I'm learning how to color right now.
I mean, always just go where your interests kind of tell you to go. I only started coloring because I needed to, because I couldn't find someone that I thought would do a good job on my book.
That's
Um,
kind of like where I'm working on something. And I'm like really trying to get better at digital, like coloring on Photoshop and stuff. I know that's probably not the best program to use, but I'm learning. I'm watching videos.
there's you can color just about on anything, and usually works pretty well. The stuff that I mean, I've been using Clip Studio now, but I have Photoshop. I do a lot of different types of stuff. I've been doing commercial storyboards using Photoshop and mostly comics using Clip Studio. Yeah, and anybody out there who is interested in Star Circuit, if you hit the campaign and just hit the heart icon, or I think it might even say follow, but it definitely has a heart on it. Click the heart and it will remind you to check the campaign again. That's what I usually do when I can't afford one, but I want one, and I just click it.
Oh yeah, the follow.
Yeah, the follow is genius because like it's like the one email like you're really happy to see again because you're most of the other things
like
you get in your
getting
email are spam.
Like updates. I love getting updates. Every time I get an update, I'm like, ooh, what's going on? But I'm on
So
this.
as you can see, I've already pressed the heart, so it changes to following once you've done that. And yeah,
Yeah.
this is the button he's talking about right here by the goal. And if you do that, you can follow and get updates from Joe as the project progresses.
Also, I don't know if did you show this off about the preview dojo? I don't know if you. So just like right after right after the first blurb in the text, there's a little link there. So it's you can read chapter 1 preview there if you're like also on the fence. Maybe you're clicking the follow button and you just want to read a little bit of it. Try to see where I'm going with chapter 1. Check it out.
Oh, I love this image here on the bottom right.
Wait a minute. How'd you get to that? I want to look at that.
Okay, I'll go back. So on the campaign page, right above Joe's cover, there's a thing that says read a chapter 1 preview here. So it's right after he talks about 72 pages and they call it the arc, etc. So here it gives you a chance to look at a few pages of chapter 1.
I want to bold and italicize that one a little bit more.
Oh, that part? Yeah, I mean, I try to mention it. It's I think to me it's like an afterthought because it's like it's not really it's not the book I'm selling this time around. Technically. But no, I think you're right. I probably should make it bold. But yeah, this is to kind of entice you to the general story of where I'm going with Star Circuit.
Yeah, if you see this, let's say, like you said a few minutes ago, you're on the fence or whatever, you're not sure, is this my type of book? You open this up and you're like, oh, damn, this is definitely my type of book. This is great scenery. This is great colors. It's not overridden, it's not overly filled with prose and exposition. That's what I'm looking for, exposition. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, there's stuff you need to know about the world, but it's not covering all the art with all the words. So yeah, this definitely lets you know the kind of book you're getting when you get Star Circuit.
Star Circuit would easily translate into an anime cartoon or a video game. Easily.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Would. I can see that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, down the road, you never know where your IP leads you. But I could see even just like an indie motion comic version of it. Like instead of going to webtoons or something, I would put it as like a motion comic. I don't really believe in them, but it might be a good way to get people attracted to go read the books is to like pay somebody to make all of chapter 1 a motion comic and put it on YouTube for free. And
Did you check out the Max when MTV did the show for the comic?
Oh, I love that.
Dude, if you did something like that.
Yeah, that thing was a really
I didn't see that, but I saw the Watchmen motion comic they had on Max.
That would blow up.
Yeah.
That's
another example. Yep.
I think the Max is better than the Watchmen one.
The Watchmen one? Okay, I'll have to watch that. I'll check it out.
It was like that old MTV when you're talking about, Jake. right?
Yeah, that's the exact one I was talking about.
I got that on DVD. That thing, I love that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's kind of what got me into the Max, and I love the Max. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the artwork on that, man. Who is it? Keith? What's his
Sam
name?
Keith, yeah.
Sam Keith.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Great stuff. Dude, I'm gonna check that out because I think that is one of the better options for a start. It's just so easy to animate like racing stuff because there's not a whole lot of moving parts. There is, but it's way better than like when you're doing like really crazy fight scenes and stuff. It's a little harder to animate well. With racing, you can do it pretty convincingly with a few minor animations, so I think it would translate well for one of those.
Like Akira, I know that was like one of the top-notch animations, but if you actually if you know how they did it, it's not that some of those racing scenes were kind of simple, right? It was just well done.
Yeah, well, they animated it to like perfection as far as like secondary action and follow through, and like all the animating techniques are used to a T. But you're right. It's like I said, racing stuff's not too hard to do because it's like there's only so many options unless you go super crazy like Red Line or a few others that I can think of that like just push the envelope. But I'm not really I'm a fan of Red Line, but I'm not a fan of like pushing the envelope with breaking the 180 rule with the camera and stuff like that.
I agree. I agree with that. I think there are times where it doesn't matter as much because it's something like racing, maybe not as much because I don't know if you follow the car like in the circular motion, and it doesn't throw the viewer off if it's like a steady, kind of like the Matrix, when they fly around him in slow motion.
It's tough. I'm torn between that because you can really screw it up. I don't know if you've ever seen Final Fantasy Advent Children. They really went overboard on the turning the camera around the bikes when they were riding these motorcycles, and it was disorienting. Even though
yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah, that was one of the big examples. But yeah, anybody who's loving Star Circuit, I really was inspired by the biggest things were like Neuromancer, the novel. Animes like Cowboy Bebop, Outlaw Star, things like Akira. Obviously, I read Akira a lot, watched Akira a lot. Cyber City, Megalobox, some Gundam stuff. Oddly enough, even though it's no mechs and stuff in here, but like the politics and stuff, I pulled from them, and then tons of other comics that like just inspired smaller aspects of it, and also. Sid Mead, who designed Blade Runner.
Oh, yeah. Did
Definitely
you see the Cyberpunk 2077 animation they did on Netflix?
Oh, Edge Runners.
Yeah, Edge Runners.
Edge Runners.
Yeah.
Man, I could see that this and that style.
Yeah, that's actually that's kind of the goal with some of what I'm doing, because you can tell like what they did. It's like what I really like about that is like a very colorful cyberpunk, and I like that. And also, yeah, I was a little turned off a little bit of that show, but not a ton. Not because of what it looked like. Some of the like decisions they made with how they approach characters. But that's just me. I mean, I think I could watch it again and be really stoked.
The big hands guy was weird. I know. He was weird.
One of the things that we were talking about earlier is Cities in the Clouds. And I just kind of wanted to mention that 3 weeks from tonight, Clint Stoker is going to be our guest, and we'll be talking about Downcast, which is another one that has city lifted up into the clouds. So we'll talk about a little bit about that with him. And like I said, that's in 3 weeks. I do want to say again, thank you so much for coming on, Joe. You're always great to talk to and great friend of the channel. I hope all the success with Star Circuit 2 Synchronicity. 23 days left, folks. So he's got 71% funded. Let's get this funded so we can all get this into our hands. I'd really like to get issue number 2. So help me do that.
I know it's like on the tip of your tongue. Everyone can taste this thing if we can.
Yeah, right. So and also next week, join us as Painter Extraordinaire joins us. Adam Miller with his Iron Age Icons trading card set will be joining us, and we're going to have some fun talking to him about that. And I know that Jake is salivating because his character Cobalt will be one of the cards featured. So that's good
a
to
good
see.
looking card.
Even though my character didn't make the cut. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
Well, next time, I didn't even submit. I'm kind of like jealous in like even a meta way that I didn't even.
Oh, okay.
There'll be a series 2.
I'm sure there will. Yeah, this is going to be a big success. Okay, guys. So thanks again for being here on Incendiary. Those of you who watched us live and those who watch us on the replay, we appreciate every one of you. We love you and hope to see you next week right here on Incendiary.